Hello everyone, it's Syafire here. I am here today to talk to you guys about something a lot of people from my community have been asking about in general. If you don't know me already, I stream creative on Twitch, twitch.tv/Syafire. And we're all about being creative and educating each other through creativity. You know, how do we get better at our craft each and every day? How do we stay inspired when everything doesn't feel good or we feel like we're not getting as far as we want to progress? And that's why I'm here, to help you guys start getting through that and growing to that point where you feel like you can start a piece of art when you want to start a piece of art, and you're not going to let your motivation or inspiration necessarily pull you down. So the first thing I'd like to talk about is establishing a purpose. So establishing a purpose is really important. You can't really draw if you don't know why you're drawing or what you're drawing this piece for. So there essentially are a lot of whys that you could be drawing the piece for, but I kind of broke it down into 3 main points. And of course, there's always going to be additional things, but these are what I think are the most important. So for the first one, for fun, well, you could really be doing anything. There's really no bounds. It could be abstract. It can be whatever you really want it to be. I think that drawing for fun is really important to make sure you're including, and you're not always grinding necessarily for practice or for a specific audience or project. I think including drawing for fun is something that you should have in your process, at least every once in a while, to remember what creativity is all about, right? Because we like creating, and sometimes we forget that we could just create because it's something that's fun to do. For the second one, we have practice. Practice is kind of a whole nother video in itself, but practice means there are specific goals that you are setting. For example, I want to get better at anatomy today. So you sit down and you're going to be working on anatomy, What are the proportions of the body? Maybe you're doing some figure posing. There's lots of different practices that you can do depending on the subject that you're focusing on. And then lastly, for establishing a purpose, we have audience. Now this is specifically what I'm creating this piece that you're seeing in the speed painting here for. This was a banner that I was creating for my Twitch, and I knew that the audience was the people who watch me and the brand of my Twitch, which is a pretty specific, consistent style right now. It's this character named Syafire, and she has a specific look and character design already, and I know what size my canvas needs to be because it's a Twitch banner, and I know that it's going to be fairly simplistic, again, because it's a Twitch banner. And these are all factors that are dependent on who you're creating for, but that's what it would be here for me in my specific piece. So that sort of covers it for the first step, which is establishing a purpose. Figure out why you're creating the piece, who you're creating the piece for, and how that's going to guide kind of the rest of how you go about your process. So step number 2 is research and reference. This is a crucial part to making a successful piece or have something that comes out way better than it would have, granted you had skipped this step. So number 1, again, going back to fun, if you're doing research and referencing for fun, that could literally be super spontaneous. Like, one of my favorite apps ever that I always use is Pinterest. I am a Pinterest addict, I swear. Pinterest has so many valuable just resources and inspiring pictures. You could also use things like Instagram, and Upsplash, I think it's called, is another sort of research/reference picture place. But Pinterest is definitely my go-to, especially for fun. You can just scroll through that and have a bunch of things you like and just get hit with inspiration out of nowhere. So basically what I'm saying is, if you don't have a Pinterest account, go make a Pinterest account. Go make a Pinterest account, because Pinterest is legendary, not just for fun, but for all of them. So number 2 then is going to be for practice. How do you research and collect references for practice? Well, again, it depends on the kind of practicing you're doing, but again, if you're doing anatomy, you're going to want to start collecting and maybe create a folder in your desktop that is for collecting a bunch of really interesting dynamic poses that you found, things that you thought were interesting, so you could use that if you were doing an anatomy practice. You need these references so that you have an idea of what to base your creation off of. Because if you just try to create out of thin air, some people can do that, but when you give yourself these starting points and these liftoff points, it just makes you feel like someone's holding your hand. They're like, yo, don't worry, you got this, I got you. You don't have to start off with a blank canvas and only your mind. Find things that are gonna push you and lift you up to be like, dude, I wanna sit down and draw that because that's just so cool. References are really supposed to be the pinnacle and things you can relate back to or use when you're having issues. You shouldn't have to know how an elephant looks because you're an artist, like just off the top of your head. That doesn't, like, that's not logical. Like, you need to go look at pictures of elephants so you know how an elephant looks so that you can draw it, right? And gather plenty of different angles and references, and you can get really cool ideas from just browsing the internet. It's really cool that we have this tool as artists at our disposal. And then the last one for research and reference is audience. And again, for mine, as you can see, I was going with I knew I wanted her body to kind of stretch out across the banner or kind of have a really cute, playful look with her pose. Because when you create characters, it is very important to give them a strong silhouette. So I was looking at things on Pinterest that caught my eye that were really interesting, dynamic, like poses from these girls. And I use those totally as a complete reference and starting off point to draw an amazing picture of this character. I even combined references and my knowledge of what she looks like to create something unique. And that's what's amazing about references. References are the king/queen of art, in my opinion. And then lastly is execution, our favorite part. So I want to point out that, again, going a little bit back to step 2, if you don't have good research and good reference photos, you're not going to feel like you can execute. So if you're trying to execute the piece and you feel like, man, I don't know how to do this, like, I don't know what's going on, I just can't draw something that looks good, you need more references. You need more Go back to stage 2 and get references because you need more references. No, yeah, but like really, that's truly the case. And then, so for fun in execution, the coolest part about if you're doing a piece of art for fun is like, dude, you just go. Like, just go. Don't be afraid that you're gonna mess up or it's gonna look bad. Who cares? You're doing it for fun. See where inspiration and creativity takes you and have trust that your creative self is gonna be able to guide you through this process that you absolutely have no idea where it's going. And then for practice, execution and practice, don't be hard on yourself. Like, for all these actually, don't be hard on yourself because, I mean, you're an artist and you're trying and you're doing your best, you know? So for practice, if you are sitting down and you're working on anatomy, granted you have enough collection of references for your anatomy poses, maybe you're watching some videos of like 1 to 2 minute poses, just go for it. The biggest thing is, like, especially for anatomy, I personally experience is, like, I don't know what I'm doing, and this freaking body looks like a potato. Like, why am I still sitting here drawing? Dude, it's okay. Everybody's anatomy bodies look like potatoes at first. It's fine. Just let them be potatoes, and eventually you will learn how to carve them into beautiful bodies, and I promise... I promise that eventually it will come, but everybody has to start with a potato seed before they get a beautiful full grown. I don't know what kind of tangent I'm going on, so let's just move on to audience. So for audience, execution, again, just have your research. Like, all this is supported literally by step number 2. Like, you can't execute without them. So audience, you know who your audience is, you make sure you have the correct canvas size, and you are sticking to that brand or that the idea or style or look that needs to be executed. And really, that's like, these are the main 3 steps that you need to execute and get started on a piece of art, and it's a good process to follow. There are plenty of ways to do art for sure, but these are the 3 that I've found to be the most successful, or the ones I've been repeating over and over again to get started on a piece of art. So again, 1, establishing a purpose. Why are you creating the piece? Who are you creating it for? Number 2, research and reference so that you have strong foundations and things to support your mind to be able to move forward and for number 3, finally, execution. You have your resources, you establish a purpose, and now it's crystal clear what your goal is, and you go for it. And that's just it. You go for it. And oftentimes we can get stuck because we're just afraid to fail. We're afraid to put that thing on the canvas and just feel really bad that it didn't turn out the way we wanted, or the people around me are going to think that I'm bad or not good. And that's just not what creativity is about in general. So anybody who would tell you something like that about your art, even yourself, you can't listen to those voices, because creativity is about expressing yourself and creating something unique for the world to see. Not even unique necessarily, just creating something that's going to leave an impact on others. And just remember that. Remember that it's okay to mess up, and it's okay that this piece might not have turned out well. We'll try again for the next one, because what I've heard many times from famous people, they say that, hey, you're gonna have 10 bad pieces for every 1 good piece, and that's just how it is. So let's all freaking do art, and if it turns out garbage, it's totally fine, because we're gonna freaking wake up tomorrow and we're gonna do it again until it looks good. Let's go. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. 3 steps to getting started on art. If you guys have any more questions or comments, concerns, please feel free to reach out to me. Always willing to help out and look at people's work. And if you guys have any ideas for future videos, let me know, because I'm here all day working on art and recording and being a creative person, as I hope you are as well. Or maybe you're just here to hear me ramble about nothing. But yeah, so everybody have a lovely day, and I hope to see you around. Feel free to join the Discord community down below. You can follow me on Twitch. You can DM me on Discord, probably is the best place. But yeah, have a great day.